Hello, boys and girls and children of all ages. Fat Bastard Wannabe Buddha coming at you today. Actually, I wasn't going to do a blog today. I was going to lay off of it because hopefully I was going to get a little bit more views out of my little Marxist vlog or my little Mandela vlog. But unfortunately, those are going nowhere fast. So anyway, who cares? Sometimes life conspires against you, and today is one of those such days. I'd been mulling over maybe doing a blog about the existential crisis that's going on in the millenniums. And the thing that pretty much prompted this discussion was last night. I hadn't talked to my little brother since before Thanksgiving. One of my little brothers. Actually, I haven't talked to any of them since before Thanksgiving. That's just the way it is in our society, it seems. But finally, I broke down and called him up and said, "Hey, why ain't we talking or anything like that?" And he made sure that I was coming over for Christmas and the normal happy joy stuff. But the main thing is he's drowning in his life currently. He's a nice little contractor, and he's not making a go of it because he was too front loaded on the material aspect of his job, and he was unable to expand throughout the one of the larger jobs he is, and now he's getting his clock cleaned for it. So anyway, I was going to do a crisis about the existential crisis of millenniums because we had a long talk last night about the current situation economically and the realization that in the industry he is in, which is construction, that the only way for him to advance is going to be at the expense of his intellect and morals. It's one of the things I came to terms with about 10 to 12 years ago when I realized the only way for me to make a go at it is to shelve a lot of the basic morality beliefs that I held firm on at the doorstep in order to play the game. So my little brother is going through the same problem, and I think almost all my little brothers are going through a similar existential crisis on capitalism. So I was beating that about, and David Gerber's I found a little link today that I'll post to you. That the 5,000 Years of Debt book has been made to be online, and it's basically the purpose of the book. It expounds on the history of debt, or the nature of debt, and how that it basically sprang from a simple conversation: is there a moral obligation to repay debt? And he goes forth and takes that just one little kernel thing and shows that actually debt is inherently dangerous and structurally detrimental to a society as a whole, and you have to allow for some form of jubilee and debt forgiveness. So I was mulling about maybe combining these two little mutual things when all of a sudden on my little news feed, Salon, yes, that voice of the establishment, the ones that curtails the limited rational debate in the society, and for some strange reason, all the losers in society thinks that is the establishment of the left, and they're not. They're not the left. They're not liberals, and anybody that does believe that they are, you're sadly mistaken and have very little understanding about what it means to be a liberal or a leftist in this society. Anyway, they published a nice little article about my own personal recession, and it's basically the female of the article, I forget her name, I will post a link to it, goes through how, everybody was claiming that this was a structural problem, and people, her generation was suffering, everything else, but she knew the dirty little secret. And the dirty little secret of her life was she was to blame for her own situation because she went out there and she ran up too much credit and debt and she got herself over the barrel and she had nothing to blame but herself. That's right, boys and girls. She internalized structural problems. And she's a good little girl because if we all internalize the structural little problems, that there is no systemic problem with the current economic system that we are enduring, maybe it will continue. If we realize that if this is a moral failing on ourselves, that maybe we can get back in the game, and that's basically the whole blog of it, and that sort of unites with a little my little take on the Pope recently. The Pope's whole thing wasn't an anti-capitalist crusade. It was basically reminding folks that it's a moral failing. It's a moral problem. It's an individuals. If people be nicer and everything else, individually, it's a moral failing. Because we all just want the game to continue. There's no systemic problems with capitalism. There's nothing wrong with the system. If we just recognize the fact that it was internal, if we just borrowed too much, we spent too much. It was us individually acting as independent agents, unrestrained by market forces that caused all the bad things to happen. And if we just believe, once again, if we just believe that it was us that did it, not the system, maybe, Tinkerbell will live again. Maybe the capitalist system can buttress itself back up one more time if we just believe in it. Because we all want it to continue. Because I want it to continue. I want my $2,000 watch back. I want my $100 cologne, my $200 jeans, my $500 sweaters. I want to go back to the clubs and make it rain. Because we all want to drive fast and drink slow. We do. Because codeine cups paint the picture so vivid. But that's the purpose of the Salon article. To get people out there basically to remember it's an internal problem. It's a personal problem. Same thing with the Pope itself. His little recent tirade into it. It isn't that he's against capitalism. If you read the things, yes, he says some very negative things about the structure of capitalism and everything, but he brings it down to a moral problem, not an actual physical, material, structural, economic problem about how the system is structured. No, it's individual moral problems, because we just got to believe in the system. Because if we believe in the system, it will come back. We just got to believe, folks. If we don't believe, it'll go away, and then we'll have to live in a little in a static growth system. And we can't do that. We can't live in that society of, small, localized individuals and communities coming together. No, we got to have the giant plastic society, the great artifice. Otherwise, we don't know what to do with our lives. But there is a problem. There is an existential crisis going on in America. And I think it is happening amongst the millenniums, in which they don't believe in capitalism anymore. And they don't believe in the end on plastic. I don't know what they do believe in yet, but I'm pretty sure they don't believe in the current system. And however much, the dominant leaders of the society, whether they're from the church or the house organs of the establishment, like Salon Magazine wants to paint the picture for them, they're not internalizing the failings of capitalism. They recognize all their student loans and their job prospects and their dwindling future and them being barred down in debt peonage. Yes, with some individual mistakes, but there's a freaking structural problem with the whole system itself, that this is where it ends up. This is the only way it ends up. This is how the end game is in the system. So that's what I was thinking about today. I'll link the articles. Hopefully you'll get something out of it. And thank you very much. Please like, favorite, and subscribe. Have a good day.